The drama is all still very real. And not that I like that, but I think that's fair for the viewers
Yeah.
because we will all unpack it at reunion. We made a point of not really speaking to each other if there was drama, because it wouldn't be fair, right? And I'm still hurt about things, and Lisa's hurt, and Ion's hurt, and Brooks, and so it's all very, even though it was filmed when it was, it's all very relevant to now.
I want to gab. Okay, today we're gabbing with Taleen Marie, the newest Real Housewife of Dubai, who has proven to be a fantastic addition to the show for its second season, which is currently airing on Bravo. Taleen, I'm so excited to get some time with you now that, especially now that we're deeper into the season. I
Yeah,
love that to actually have some things to talk about. So thank you for
totally.
being here. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Really, it's a pleasure.
Of course. And I'm not just saying that. I think you're a fantastic addition. I tweeted 3 or 4 weeks ago, and a lot of people seem to agree that you've brought something needed to this franchise. Have you gotten mostly love from fans, I hope?
I have, and it really means a lot. I mean, look, you're gonna get the haters, right? And especially this week, I've like kind of tried to stay off Twitter, but I'm getting mostly love, and it's really really sweet. It means a lot, really.
Good. So how has the experience overall been so far for you? I mean, we're 5, 6 episodes into the season. They were filmed a while ago. So how
Yeah.
has this experience been for you overall?
You have to relive all these episodes, and I think that's kind of the hardest part is reliving it. I mean, especially the last episode, like we lost our family dog, and there was also a lot that wasn't shown in that, but that and just so many things where you're like, oh my god, like it's not that you forget, but it was filmed a while ago. And even when I'm in the scene, like you're so in it, you don't really realize what's happening. So definitely from like an aerial perspective now, it's kind of a trip watching it and reliving it, and those emotions come back. But all in all, I think it's been a great experience for sure. I've had an incredible time, and I mean, it's a great season, and it's only about like it hasn't even started, and I mean that. Like there's so much more to unpack.
I believe that because I feel like the first trailer, the big promise was like the sort of Lisa Chanel Ayan kind of friendship breakdown, which hasn't even really begun yet. So there has to be a lot
Mhm.
more. There has to be a lot more to come.
Oh God, you have no idea. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is shocking.
I'm sure.
It
So
is. It is.
I'm curious about that year between filming and when it aired, because that's a slightly longer time period than most franchises
Right.
between the
Right.
first and second season and when you guys filmed. What was that like for you to like know that you had done this and it had people haven't seen it for a while and then kind of in that, did any of the group dynamic change in that time
Mm.
before viewers got to see everything?
That's such a great question. The drama is all still very real. And not that I like that, but I think that's fair for the viewers
Yeah.
because we will all unpack it at reunion. We made a point of not really speaking to each other if there was drama, because it wouldn't be fair, right? I'm still hurt about things, and Lisa's hurt, and Ion's hurt, and Brooks, and so it's all very, even though it was filmed when it was, it's all very relevant to now. So that's why it's going to be a very interesting and telling reunion.
I'm sure. Wait, so you guys sort of made an agreement to sort of like kind of
Not
have things
verbally.
frozen? Okay.
No, it wasn't verbally. I think everyone was just so heated with everything
Cool off
that
period.
yeah. And then when you film for, 4 or 5 months, you just kind of like need to take a step back a little bit, right? Because it's just so much has happened. And then it just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of stalled, and now
Yeah.
we're reliving it, but everything is still very relevant.
So that, but in that period, Taleen, you guys went to BravoCon, which also must have been a really specific experience for you because again, you filmed the show, but you have not
Yeah.
been introduced to viewers on that show yet.
Nobody
And
knew
so,
who the hell I was.
so what was that like for you? I mean, truly.
No, I actually kind of liked it, and I'll tell you why. It was like I could I could be there as, you know, a Bravo lab, right? D-list celebrity, but I could also be there as just like a regular person, you
Totally.
know? Not a regular, you know
No,
what
but
I
no,
mean?
I know no, but you're not like you don't have 1,000 people coming up to you yet because we don't
Yeah.
nobody who
So
knew you. Yeah, right.
I got the beauty of kind of both worlds,
Kind of nice.
which was really cool. You know, like security wasn't escorting me out. Like I was able to be there. So I liked that. And they did announce me, you
Yes, they
know,
did.
which I was like, okay, thank God. But BravoCon was freaking awesome. I mean, it was so cool. It's like it felt like Super Bowl weekend, you know,
Oh
for
yeah.
Bravo. And that's when I got to meet Andy. It was funny. I was like talking to my family, and I was like, I feel like Andy is not going to know who the hell I am. Absolutely not. Like he came up to me, he knew everything because he had seen
Good.
all the episodes. He said my name correct. I was like, oh my God, he knows my name. And he said to me, like, oh my God, I'm a fan of yours. I'm like, huh? Like that was like the like pinch me
That's
moment. Like
amazing.
you, me, what? So it was really
That was
cool.
real.
It was
Yeah, that's
really
real.
cool.
Yeah.
Were
And
you at BravoCon?
oh yeah, I've been to all three BravoCons.
Okay.
But I
My
also
apologies that I didn't
no,
well, you probably
listen.
didn't know me.
No, no, I did, but I also think that from my experience at the BravoCons is like I'm also a very online person when it comes to these shows, and
Yeah.
that can become a really negative space. And I think what I love about BravoCon every year is that it's a reminder that it's actually a much more positive fandom than it can
Totally.
sometimes feel at other points in the year. And so for you to see that before experiencing, obviously you're getting a lot of love, but you must be getting some hate. But to be have that reminder ahead
Such
of
a
time,
good point. You're
yeah,
so right. I just had like a realization. You're absolutely right. It gave me that like positive reinforcement.
it's really
You're
nice.
so right. I didn't even think about that up until now. And that was wow. Yeah. That was like, should I send you like the therapy bill? That was like, Jesus, that was great. Slip it under the door.
There we
Thanks.
go. There we go. Okay, so
Wow.
let's jump into this is maybe more therapies going to be coming up as we
Please.
talk about
I
this
know.
season.
Jesus.
So Brooks brought you into this group. She was your first real friend in Dubai. You have the Boston connection.
Yeah.
You know, what did she tell you about everybody kind of before you fully jumped into this experience? What did you think about the group before going into it? Like, how are you sort of how is it framed for you, I guess, going in?
Very negatively. She spoke poorly about pretty much everybody on the cast except Sarah Al-Madani. Um, Stanbury, she was actually okay with, surprisingly,
Yeah.
up until like right before we started filming. But she really wanted me to come in not liking these women or just having like preconceived notions. And look, that's not to say she's a bad person. She probably had her hurt and her trauma from it. So in her head, maybe she was, you know, guarding me or trying to, you know, warn me to a
Yeah, that
certain
makes sense.
degree. Right. But it also didn't feel like that too, because when I walked in, most of these women were the complete opposite and they were very warm and welcoming. And I wanted to get to know them on
Of
my own
course.
terms, you know. So yeah, I mean, she had very negative things to say about these women, but I wanted to go in with a fair judgment, and that's how I am in general. You know,
Yeah.
I need to make my own assessments of people.
I'm glad that you didn't let that cloud your judgment of everybody completely,
Yeah,
and it clearly did not. You were on Watch What Happens Live a couple weeks ago, and you said that you said that you thought she wanted you to come into the show sort of as her lapdog, as her puppet.
I did, and I stand by that. I
Okay,
really believe that she kind of wanted me as her sidekick and to just blindly back her. She was making, you know, the whole Vijay thing. The
right.
only person that kept bringing it up was her. It's like, stop giving the vajay legs. Like, just if you don't want to talk, if you don't want it to be a story, don't talk about it. Stanbury had stopped talking about it. I knew Stanbury. Once I got to know Stanbury, she was taking the piss. It's that British banter.
Totally.
But Brooks just kept bringing it up. And it got to a point where I felt like, wait a minute, I'm being a pawn here. And this wasn't the first time. This is a buildup of a lot.
When was the first time that you noticed that you might be a pawn in her game from your perspective?
Way before we even started filming.
Okay, so when she was kind of feeding you the negative energy about everybody.
She kept telling me, Stanbury does not want you on the show. She hates you. The drama began even before filming.
Okay.
And I received it, and I listened. But once it started spilling on into the filming, the filming, it's dramatic enough. We don't need a show under the show. That's what bothered me. It was after we filmed the scene, I don't need the 2 a.m. calls with, oh, but do you know what happened after? And
right.
This, that, I can't. I want to go home. I want to sleep. I want to lay my head next to my husband and be done with my day. And I had those private conversations with her, but she still wasn't getting it.
Right.
And I've gotten some crap for speaking my mind and telling her that she's a bit of a pot stir, but I had no choice at that point. I had it. I needed to put a stop to it. And I was coming from an honest place. I didn't know that it would escalate so much. I didn't know that she'd be done with me after me telling her that, but it needed to be said.
Right. I'm sure. Yeah. And it all kind of confirms, I think, what Andy said when you were on his show, which is like, he kind of read her issue with you as being related to the show. Yeah, exactly. Right. And which I think is like, it's natural for the show to come into play when it comes to that. But I think from what you're saying, it just feels a little bit like inauthentic, or like it's just sort of like there's a gameplay happening that's maybe a little too aware.
Exactly. Don't produce the show. You know what I mean? Like, and look, people say, oh, she jumped ship. She's with Stanbury. It could have been anyone. I wasn't looking at it as sides. I'm not picking a side here. I look at what's happening. I play fair, and I have to be honest and true to myself. And as a friend, I had to convey that to her.
Right. Do you read what happened between you two being more about Brooks's issues with Stanbury and an issue she has with her, or just wanting you to make sure that you were to remain an ally to her? You know what I mean?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both. I think because it was Stanbury, maybe it was worse because she had her own issues with her for whatever reason, which I still don't get. Maybe we'll find out at reunion. Who knows? But I think it was that she had a game plan bringing me on, and just thinking that I was blindly going to back her. But as a real friend, you got to be honest with your friends, right? And I had so many private conversations with her, and it just wasn't getting through. So that dinner that you saw is very real. And
I believe that.
Some people think that, I shouldn't have said that, but I stand by it.
Yeah. And I think that you weren't abandoning her, but you also kind of saw what was happening. And so I think it was very fair. And also it speaks to like how you're good at this. I think this is a natural thing for you. Like, you aren't. And I actually think, I'm curious what you think about this. I kind of feel like you and Stanbury have been able to connect partially because she probably really respects the fact that you confront things head on. I mean, you brought what Sergio said to Rafi during the guys' night. You brought that directly to her. You also took her aside for that. And then right when you got the 2 a.m. phone call from Brooks, you called her and was like, is this true? Let's squash it now. She probably really respects the fact that you're just kind of being very direct about it.
Look, I'm an East Coaster at the end of the day.
Yep.
Like I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm very direct. I like nipping things in the bud. I still try to maintain some couth and class when I do it. But as a friend, I mean, as a human being, you just have to have that that directness. And that's just, I've always been like that, show or no show. I've always been that person. And I do think Caroline respects that, because I think she's also like that as well. And even Ion is like that too.
Yeah, for sure. When Brooke said to you at that group dinner that we just saw, or that group lunch that we just saw, where you were bringing it up and she was like, I don't care about this. I don't want to talk about this. And you were like, okay, well, that tells me everything I need to know. Was that the light bulb moment in like sort of brought it to the next level in terms of your awareness of where that friendship really stood?
It was hurtful. It was hurtful. And also, I will say, you know, the dinner with me and her, there was a lot that wasn't shown.
Okay.
I called it World War III. I called it an altercation, because it got very heated. And, you know, it's what a 45-minute show. You can't show all of it. But she had said some really hurtful things at that dinner, and it did get very escalated. But her aloofness at that lunch just solidified that maybe she really doesn't care about this friendship. And that was hurtful, because I wanted to work through it. You know, I didn't want her to be so dismissive. As a friend, you work through issues, right? You don't just say, all right, I'm good. I'm going to move on. It's like, she even said that. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
She's like, there's no moving on. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? You know, she's very, very defensive. And it was. But yes, to answer your question, I had that light bulb moment in the sweltering heat of that
which I'm sure. Yeah, I think going off of your thinking, it's sort of, I think it's easy to read that moment as like, she saw that she sort of lost you as a blind ally, and it was sort of like, all right,
yeah.
Right, totally.
Right.
Wait, on the flip side, you and Stanbury obviously connect. I mean, seeing you two in that scene, kind of interspersed with with Caroline's son's birthday party, it was very clear that there's an easy rapport there.
Yeah.
What about you and Stanbury sort of really works as a friendship, or at least during filming it was working?
I think we're a lot alike in the sense of like, what you see is what you get. Kind of going back to your point. She moves on very quickly. She doesn't hold grudges or hold on to things. I'm very much like that. I love good British humor. You know, I can be very self-deprecating. So can she. We speak sarcasm is our love language as well. She has that. So I think we connect on that front. She's not judgy. I'm not judgy. And you know, I did appreciate, she actually came to the house when we lost our family dog and brought flowers. I mean, she has dealt with that, and it meant a lot to me. It didn't mean that I was choosing her over Brooks. I mean, yes, Brooks reached out to my sister, but when I write something in the friend group saying, you know, our dog passed, I would have appreciated a message to me, right? And I even wished Adam a happy birthday, and I got nothing in return. So yeah. I mean, it was hurtful.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know, you brought what Sergio had said about his relationship with Stanbury and his daughter to her. Seeing some of the scenes that you weren't privy to during filming, and seeing kind of their dynamic without the group present, what do you think about it? Are you like, what do you think about their relationship as it stood during filming, and what do you think about sort of their different thoughts on having having a kid together?
Look, it's not an easy situation, right? I think when you bring, I mean, any guy into you know, a divorced marriage or divorced relationship with children and stepkids, it's going to be tough. And then when you add the fact that he's much younger, you know, closer in age with Yasmin, and then you put cameras on the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's
That's
stressful,
tough.
and it's very tough. I will say and this is from what I've seen behind the scenes, they both have an extreme amount of love for each other. It is real. I was so skeptical going into it. I was like, okay, this guy, there's no way. Like, she's having a midlife crisis, just going for like the hot cabana
Right.
pool boy. No, although he is a hot cabana pool boy, but
It's
he has
deeper than that.
it's way deeper. It's way deeper, and they do love each other and they respect each other. Do I think they're gonna have another kid? I can't answer that. I really don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you? I want to ask
I
you.
mean, the scene with Sergio and his mom, when she said, "I don't see Caroline having another kid."
Yeah, I know.
To me, and listen, if that's what she wants, I'd love for that to happen, of course. But
Oh
but
my
it
God, and
doesn't.
they would have a very beautiful.
Right. It just sort of feels like, from what we've seen, it feels like he's trying to talk her into something that he really wants, and I understand that. But I kind of agree with his mom, I think, at least right now.
I know. Let's see what happens. I mean, I know
Yeah.
he is so good with her children and even my kids. Like he
Oh.
is like, he'd be such a great father. I know that much, but
Yeah, I see
we'll
that.
see. Maybe season 3. Who knows?
Yeah, there we go. When you came into this group, Ayan and Lisa were still best friends. They were the duo that we saw last season as well. You sparred a bit with Lisa at that one dinner. Does that sparring last between you two? Is that a one-time thing, or is that maybe a preview for what's to come between you and Lisa?
Me and Lisa, we go at it
Okay.
a good amount of times this season. But the one thing I do appreciate about Lisa, and I'm like this too, is we kind of move on quickly. We'll take accountability for whatever it is. I mean, even the whole Queen's dinner, like,
Yeah.
she kept calling me the B word, which I felt like was so unnecessary. But she apologized for that after, and I appreciated that. You are going to see drama, definitely, with me and her. But forget about me, like, take me out of it. The saddest thing for me is to see, what happens with Ion, with Chanel and Lisa. And it's shocking what happens.
Really,
And
it was really shocking.
it's shocking.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
shocking, and it's really sad, and I still can't wrap my brain around it.
And had you seen any cracks or any hints that something could happen between them, or does it kind of come out of nowhere?
It kind of, no comment. I
Okay.
can't answer that. Yeah, respectfully, I can't answer that. But you guys just really have to watch and see,
Okay.
because it truly is shocking.
And it makes me sad too, because I love both of them separately too.
Me too. And
Yeah.
and they really had a genuine friendship.
Yeah.
It wasn't just for the cameras. It was the real deal. I mean, with their kids and their husbands, and and it's a domino effect, right? It affects both their families, and I know the heart that Ion has. I mean, it's affected her big time. And yeah, it's
Does it divide the group at all? Does it divide the group at all, or does it?
I mean, I think naturally, of course,
Okay.
there's gonna be a bit of a divide, right? Because everybody kind of has their opinions of what happened and the truth, and and all that. But I really hope that reunion, there will be some sort of resolution,
Me
or
too.
just movement towards some type of closure, or things happen with friends, and I want them to genuinely work it out. But again, it's going to be the shock of it's the shock. It's a huge shock.
You're scaring me, Taleen.
I know, but
if it's shocking, it's shocking. But okay, so
yeah,
kind of going off of that, we just got the mid-season trailer, and it looks
yeah,
like there is some big moment between Rafi and Brooks and Lisa. It's kind of hard to tell exactly what happens there,
yeah,
but it looks pretty explosive.
it
What
is.
can you say about what we can expect from that?
So that was actually one of the hardest scenes, like, to film. My husband wouldn't hurt a fly. He is one of, and I hand to God, I'm not just saying this. He's one of the sweetest people you'll meet. He's never even raised his voice to me, let alone anybody. What people also don't realize, him and Caroline Brooks they've known each other longer than I've known Caroline. So they do have, you know, they've had a history. But, you know, I don't want to give too much away from that scene. There was no issue with Lisa and him. I think Lisa just was looking for a moment, as she does. But he had my back in that moment because, again, you will see what happens. The truth will come out. When you keep poking a bear, you got to expect something. So, but he was mediating it, and for him to get to that point, it was bad.
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna hate rewatching.
I'm sure, because also I think there are a lot of viewers who have very strong opinions on like men getting involved with the women.
Yeah,
you know,
I know. And look, what I love about Rafi, he has a very thick skin, and you know, he kind of just he's been like kind of looking at some of the comments, and he knows who he is. I know who he is.
Comes with the territory.
That really are close to us, they know who we are, and that's kind of all what really matters at the end of the day. And people are going to have opinions. What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's the healthiest mindset that you can have. So speaking of you two, we're seeing this conversation continue with both of you, and you have different perspective, obviously, on having another kid. And he really wants he wants a son. He wants a son. And as you made me laugh when you said he thinks he's in Game of Thrones and needs like an heir to the business and all these things.
I'm like, first of all, women can also take over a country.
Exactly.
Okay, like
exactly
that as well.
So obviously you can't tell us exactly where things are going to kind of land when it comes to that conversation, but is there a timeline? Is that something that is that an ongoing thing?
Never say never.
Okay.
You know, you never know what happens, you know, after like a great date night, who knows? Like, you know, I might be in the mood. I might be, you know, the stick might have a smiley face on it. Ovulation stick. Anyway, but look, at the end of the day, even if we do try, who's to say we're going to get a boy?
There we go. Yeah.
And the guy, like the gender is decided by the guy. The short answer, never say never. But if you ask me now, hell to the no. Like, I'm so happy with my two beautiful girls. We are so grateful and blessed. Exactly.
Okay.
But it is a discussion. It's a real discussion.
I'm sure he seems very, you know, intent about it. So I'm sure it's ongoing. So the reunion's coming up. And I think you did a fan Q&A on your Instagram, and you said that you're looking forward to the truth coming out. Yeah. What issue were you speaking about there? Or was that a variety of issues that you were speaking about?
What do you like to know? No, look, I mean, with the whole Brooks and me situation, I think people are going to understand certain things, and things will make sense, because I hate this narrative that I've jumped ship, or, you know, I just wanted to be friends with Stanbury. This has nothing to do with Stanbury. I love her. She's a friend, but it was never choosing sides for me. And I think at the reunion, people are really going to understand what I mean by that. And that this was a buildup of many years outside of the show, not just the show. So, again, I think the truth always wins. I can't say I'm not worried about it. It's my first reunion.
I'm sure
I'm a little bit nervous. I'm probably going to need like a shot of something.
Anyone would be.
But yeah, exactly. Anyone would be. But when it's the truth, you feel good about it. And that's what I meant by that. So, you know, we'll see how it plays out.
I'm hoping we get
But I
I'm
am
hoping
excited.
I'm hoping we get more footage from that dinner that you said there a lot more happened. I feel like we should
That
see
would
some
be
of that.
great. I would love to
Yeah.
be like, roll the tape.
Yeah. Wait, last question. Your last answer kind of made me think about this. Is it's interesting that when people get close with Stanbury, so it's like sort of Brooks is saying you just wanted to be friends with Stanbury, and I feel like a similar argument is being used in the Chanel and Lisa situation, where it's like Chanel just wanted to be friends with Stanbury. What's behind that? What is it about Stanbury that's kind of used as a not a weapon, but it's a they're both kind of
Yeah.
using that. Yeah.
Uh, it's a great question. And I think because she is a strong woman, you know, she's been on TV before. She's seasoned. She's been on Ladies of London. You know, I'm seeing things like I'm a clout chaser. I haven't seen one episode of Ladies of London, by the way. Like I
It's a
hate to
great
say it, I
show.
didn't know who Caroline
Right.
Stanbury was. I really didn't until I joined the show. I think Stanbury is the easy target because she is so strong and because
Yeah.
you know she has a great story. But again, it's a cheap shot. You know, Ion and Lisa have their own issues. It has nothing to do with Stanbury. She never tried to divide that. Me and Brooks have our own issues. Has nothing to do with Stanbury. Stanbury is kind of just like been in the middle, and we've kind of migrated because it's a genuine friendship. Has nothing to do with choosing sides.
Right. Right. Well, Taleen, it's been a great start to this season. It really had a great
Thank
first
you.
half, I guess. And I'm so glad that I got some time with you. This is so much
Me
fun.
too. Me too. This was
Yeah.
so nice.
So
And
nice.
next BravoCon, we're
Oh,
hanging.
next question. Next question. Well, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Good luck at the reunion. And hopefully we talk again soon.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Bye. Take care.
I want to gab.